Very simply, you have to get to people that are willing to pay you for your art, and they have to be aware that you exist. No matter what kind of artist you are, this is the truth. This is episode 115 of the Arts Academy podcast, How to Get Paid for Your Work as an Artist, with Dean Victor Varnado and Dr. J. Okay, hey everybody, welcome to the Arts Academy podcast. I'm your host, Dean Victor Varnado, and my co-host is here, Dr. J.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Dr. J. This is actually a good we found out this is going to be a good episode for Dr. J, as well as for everybody out there. This is what happened recently. So I was talking to a friend of mine who is an actor and also has a day job. Okay, and then she was just talking about her and her husband and how they're doing everything they're supposed to do as artists. They have a day job to serve themselves. They have their art that they do. But the thing was, she's saying, even though they're putting money away, XYZ, numbers don't really add up for their future. And I was talking about how I, as an artist, I just knew the bare minimum financial education until recently, where I really started studying. I wanted to up my financial knowledge, and I wanted to understand business and business models as an artist so that I can make money as an artist. Because many years ago, when I decided what I wanted to do full-time as an artist, I realized at one point that, hey, not every artist is a big star. So there has to be a way to make a living as an artist. And I'm pushing it, obviously, because I'm like moving it into like making large businesses and trying to make multi-millions of dollars. But in general, what I'm saying is, I was talking to her and I was like, have you tried A, B, C, D? Do you consult? And I do not consult with people. I don't want to. It's not my thing. My thing is I like to make art. And this podcast is so that I don't have to consult. I can just tell everybody at once and then point you toward this episode. When you say to me, I'm an artist, how can I make money? This is going to answer that question. You made a look on your face, Dr. J. What happened?
No, I was just thinking about the many times that I've made a lot of art and not a lot of money.
Yeah, artists do it all the time. If you're an artist, how can you make money? Simple. You find people that want to pay you for whatever it is you do as an art. Let me expand on that, but that's the basics of it. You find people who want to pay you. Being more specifically, people who would want to pay you for your art need to be aware of your existence. Even simpler, marketing. I know this sucks. I get it. I understand that as an artist, you don't really want to hear the word marketing, but that's what it is. Very simply, you have to get to people that are willing to pay you for your art, and they have to be aware that you exist. No matter what kind of artist you are, this is the truth. Steven Spielberg, he's got a business model around his art. Would you say Steven Spielberg is an artist? I would. Also, an artist who paints pictures in Tompkins Square Park. They have a business model. They're actually pretty similar. They both get to people who are willing to pay them money for their art. Simple. If you're a Tompkins Square Park artist, you paint portraits, okay? And so you need marketing. What is your marketing? Your marketing is getting to people who would possibly pay you for your art. How you do that? You sit in Tompkins Square Park with a sign that says, hey, you can buy these paintings, or I'm going to do your caricature or whatever. Can you find the people who will pay for your art? Yes. Then you make your art. The people are happy. Yes. Then they give you money. Done. That's a very simple business model. There are definitely artists who sit in the park and make more than $70K a year. I'm sure of it, which is not the end of the world. But if you're an artist and all you want to do is make paintings, then $70K a year may not be bad for you, depending on your cost of living. If you're a stand-up comedian, okay, so your business model is, and we're talking about stand-up comedian, a comedian, for instance, has many different products. Okay, let's call them products because that's what they are. All right. So if you're a comedian, your product might be a live stand-up show. Your product might be writing for television. Your product might be acting in a film. So you can have these multiple products from your business as a stand-up comedian. Same thing if you're an artist, a visual artist, or anything like that, you have multiple products. Each one of those products needs its own type of marketing to get to the right people. Sometimes success with one product can be marketing for others. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But you have to think of it that way. What do you want to do? What is it specifically? And who will give you money for that? How do you identify that person and get in front of their face? That's really it. And then also remember, how do your customers, whomever they are, how do they profit from that exchange? You need to know the real answer to that. If you're a comedian, they may profit by being happy and having the best time of their life and banging their friend and the ribs every time they hear your joke or a subject that you mentioned in your joke for the rest of their life. That's how they profit from it. If you're a film director, how do they profit from it? Who's the customer? Is it a film studio? Then their profit is not having the best day of their life and laughing. Their profit they want is money. So that is a consideration. What's your business model, Dr. J?
See, I don't know if I've ever really had a business model. I worked in corporate video. I had a job that covered some stuff and allowed me to go off and do my plays and other things that didn't pay me. And then I ended up being a freelance stage manager, and that was harder and also easier. Harder because gigs are you have to really. It's a lot of what we do in the film business is gig work, right, or theater business, where you may have a very good year and a very bad year. You may have a very long project that sustains you for a bit, but then you're on break for that project for 3 months. What do you do to fill that time? What made that easier was that my schedule was obviously a lot more in my discretion. So I had a lot more flexibility to do my own stuff. But again, I was working in the art field, not doing what I really wanted to do in order to pay for my rent. That allowed me the freedom to do what I want to do, which paid intermittently. And then there's questions too. A survival job can be a business model. The thing is, there's living business models, and then which is your plan to survive, and then there's how your artist business has a model.
Yeah, see,
I think it's something I want to mention, though, that I thought of when you were talking originally about the actor who's saying planning for the future is really hard. Something an actor told me when I was 24 years old, I was a stage manager. She was late 30s. She gave me advice, which is really great. It was start an IRA like immediately, because we're not going to have retirement necessarily. A lot of businesses and jobs have that for you, but actors or freelancers, as I was at the time, don't. Uh-huh. And she said, I know you're young. I wish I'd done this when I was young. You can put away $20 a month, $15 a month. You can have it automatically come out of your bank account and just do it. And if you can max it out, if you have a good year, max it out at the end of the year, because that will compound. I was like, yeah, whatever. But a couple years later, I did that. And I now have enough money to retire on from that account that I was putting away $20. So I will say that there's whatever your business model is, and maybe I'm going to paint pictures in the park for the next 5 years while I go get my grad degree, whatever. But there's a short and long-term element of this, which is really important. And it's not just a business for your work, that's what I've been bad at. We'll talk about that more. But business, just your plan to be able to afford to live in the place where you live and still do your art.
Actually, it's something that is part of what I want to talk about too, because I have another friend who is a cartoonist, and that friend, I was talking to them about not only making a business model, but then making business models that can immediately be profitable for an artist, even if they're small. So that is something that I've been trying to develop, and I tried it twice and it worked twice. So I've practically done it. And so now I'm trying to tell my friend to try it himself and see if it does it. And what I'm saying is, so I created this business model for an artist where if you follow this business model, then within a week, you should be able to make some money, decent money. And this is how I did it. First, let me tell you how I did it. And then I'll tell you how it worked with 2 different applications. And I think that'll be enough, and that'll be the episode. Okay. All right, here we go. So here's what the idea is. The idea is to create a product that you can make that is something that you know that you're like one of the best people to make this thing. You know that if you make this thing, someone out there probably wants it. Somebody wants it. For instance, if you are a painter and you can make photorealistic portraits, someone out there wants a photorealistic portrait painted of themselves. I'm absolutely sure of it, and so are you. All you have to do then is use modern marketing technology to find those people and sell them that you should do that thing for them. Here's how I did it twice. First, I did it myself when I wanted to make extra money, and I decided that because I'm what's called an idea guy sometimes, people pay me for ideas. So I'm a writer as well. So I used my credentials to make a product where I would help people come up with ideas for their books. Then I made a landing page for that thing, and I called it Hitmaker. And then I made a landing page where I was like, hey, I'm a professional idea guy. I'll help you with an idea. Also, I'll find a person to help you ghostwrite that book. I'll help you ghostwrite that book. And then I also have a friend who does marketing. Now, that friend will help you do the marketing for that book so that you can make sure you sell a few copies. And then I put a big price tag on that whole thing. Okay. And it was like $10,000. All right. Then it was $10,000, but it cost $5,000 up front. And then I ran ads, like Google ads, for people who are like looking for people who want to ghostwrite. So I ran Google ads for that. The Google ads led to the landing page. The landing page explained what I was trying to do. Then there was a button where they could click and go to a meeting. And then the meeting was with me. And then at the meeting, they're like, can you really do this? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, here's the money. I just did the exact same thing with Leslie, my wife's store, Art to Wear. She needed extra money. And I was like, okay, you've got these stores in New York. Everybody is going to want to do a pop-up in New York, a fashion pop-up in New York, or a fashion pop-up in New York doing New York Fashion Week. Of course, someone wants that. I made a landing page that explained exactly what the deal was and then how much it costs. And then I made ads, Google ads, and we're also going to start doing some Instagram ads now. This just happened this past week. The ads ran to the landing page that explains the whole thing, and then there's a button. And when they click the button, they meet me, and then they're like, hey, can I really take my fashion brand and have a pop-up in New York during Fashion Week at this location? And I'd be like, yes. And they're like, okay, here's the money. And we just started this last week doing the same thing that I was just describing. And in a week, I booked her over $7,000 worth of like work. So I'm going to say that this is a very pared down version, and I wanted to make it simple because I wanted to be able to do it over and over again. I make the products worth like thousands of dollars. The reason I do that is because there's no way you're going to lose money if running ads in that case, because I want to make the products expensive enough so that the people coming to the meetings like once a month would cover all costs. Then you market that item to people. I use ads in this case, getting people to be aware that you do that thing. There are tons of different ways you could do that, but I just used ads because it was very easy. And then that's it. Whatever kind of artist you are, you could do that right now. In both cases, I set this up and made money within 2 weeks. So if you're an artist right now and you want to make a living as an artist, you can do that if you follow those steps. You can make a living as an artist right now. I'm not saying that it's going to shoot you into stardom or anything like that, but you can make enough money to survive. A lot of artists do this in a lot of different ways. I know a comedian who does public speaking gigs because they're so good on stage. that when they do public speaking gigs, they get requested over and over again, and they have an agent for public speaking gigs, which is their marketing. Their agent does the marketing for them. They show up and do the public speaking gigs because they're really good at it. And it's not necessarily like just stand up, but it is also a product that they can create where they're doing their thing and getting better and better at being on stage every day and getting paid thousands of dollars a month as that is their job.
Yeah, a big part of this is recognizing what opportunities you have right now. Like for you, you're idea person, writer, consultant, you've done that. So how do I do this in a way that's, you're not going to maybe get hired by a studio, but what are the ways in which I can reach an audience that looks for those skills? I went through a stage when I was directing a lot of one-woman shows for some reason, because I think I directed one, and then I was referred to this group of women that were all writers that were working on these shows, and my name was somehow floated around. I didn't necessarily love doing one-woman shows, but I was very good at again, taking the script, helping them shape it, consult them. And I was the non-threatening man who could direct their show after the woman they really wanted for it quit on it, or they had fought over something. I started charging more and more for it because it was the kind of thing where the shows I want to direct are one thing, but the ones that I'm hired directing, I want to get paid a fair rate, or at least an appropriate rate, especially given the amount of time that these things take and the kind of one-on-one attention you have to give that person. Now, if I had the wherewithal at the time, I would have run some ads and had a landing page and kept going off of that. I did that for one-woman shows over the course of a year and a half, but my referrals when they group ended, but I could have had pull quotes from them. I could have had press clippings and things. If I want to make X amount of dollars a year directing theater, for sure, definitely. That's how I wanted my income to go. And actually account for those of you out there who are new to the arts, working in the arts professionally, is you have to make a certain amount of money a year over the course of a long period of time in order for you to write off some deductions and be an artist and not be a hobbyist, right? So if I had put a number on that, like I needed to get $10,000 each year from doing this, I could have pushed that further. But as it was, I wasn't seeing that as a business model.
You weren't actively marketing. You were just, it was basically word of mouth, which is
great. And ultimately you want to be at a level where you don't have to do that, where people come to you or come to your agent and work this out. But yeah, it's recognizing when things start rolling, to market that and augment it if you want to keep that going.
And then you're at that level where you don't feel like you have to, and people come to you, don't think that you should sit on your laurels, because you know how people fade away because they don't do anything. I'm sure you know so many people who used to be big and are not anymore.
Yeah.
Don't ignore that.
The one thing that you do also may not be sustainable in that same way forever anyway. So you have to be figuring out what are the future income streams, or how can I compound what I do to make sure it stays that job. If you're painting portraits in Tompkins Square Park, eventually you'll get a permit that allows you to be there all the time. But then you have to figure out what days people are there, who are your new customers, because if you're there every Tuesday and everyone's got their portrait painted, I think
we're getting into the weeds a little, Dr. J.
Okay, fine. But this idea...
Here's
the idea. The idea is you got to keep up the marketing no matter how successful you are.
The main idea is, yes, you keep up the marketing, but also it's just that create a product as an artist that someone wants, and then work diligently on letting people know that it exists and that they can purchase it from you. I just hope people get the idea that you as an artist are a business. Yes, I am one who I adore art. I hate business. I hate that business is part of art. I despise people who talk about business too much, including myself right now. I get it. But I want you to be a successful artist, and you can't do that all the time if you don't understand that you're a business as well. That is a podcast for this week. Dr. J.
That's it.
Yeah, just go to altartsacademy.com and you can see the current website, which needs to be updated. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
You can find us at artsacademypodcast.com.